This is the Wandering Mike.
Welcome everyone to the Wandering Mike. Today I'm here with Arlene. Hey Arlene, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Nice. I'm looking forward to our conversation today. Um, it's gonna be an interesting one. Um, so to get us started, if you, Arlene, just wanna give us a quick introduction of who you are, um, what your journey's been like, anything you want to share.
Okay. Well, my name is Arlene Cohen Miller, and I live in Colorado now in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. And I grew up in the southern part of the US. And when I was about 15, I decided that I wanted to be an attorney. And it was kind of a shock to my parents. We didn't have any attorneys in the family, but I did go to college. I did go to law school with the help of my father, who's a really cool entrepreneur. And I graduated from law school and went with my then husband to the Midwest and had to take a second bar examination. And after practicing law under some other attorneys for about 3 years, I opened my own business as a solo practitioner at age 29. And I immediately found out I was pregnant with our son. So I have been a working mother um, from day one almost. Well, I was 9 months pregnant when I first opened my business and sold the business when my son was 9 and used it to buy into like a boutique law firm that was specializing in commercial law um, out in Colorado where I live now. And about 6 years before we sold the business, I got a diploma in transformational holistic counseling and a diploma in coaching and mentoring and a certification in meditation. And at first I did that because I thought I needed it to be a better lawyer. And it did help a lot because I was the marketer for the law firm, and I also did a lot of phone talk calls with people negotiating settlements. So I felt like it would be very helpful, and it was. It was pretty
Yeah.
humbling. I found out that I wasn't a very good listener, and then we sold the practice. I was just really tired of practicing law. I wanted to do coaching and mentoring, more is what I was passionate about it, and sold the business, and I opened my business dual consultancy, and there you go. That's a brief summary of me.
All right. Um, yeah, that sounds like a very uh, unique journey as well. Maybe if we just want to go into it chronologically. So I actually had one guy that I met here in Queenstown. I had him on the podcast, and when he told me he was a lawyer, I immediately asked him, "Oh, so what got you interested in law?" And his answer was, "Well, it's in the family. All my family was lawyers." So you just told me that it was the complete opposite for you. So now with you, I'm excited to ask. So what was it that got you initially excited to go into law?
I'm not really sure. I just got this inspiration when I was 15, like I need to be a lawyer. And I always wanted to get out there and
Mm,
serve and do something that I could give back. And I also was, I don't know, I just wanted to be able to know that I could take care of myself. And I knew if I was a lawyer, I could certainly take care of myself. So it was a dual thing. I really wanted to serve. I really wanted to give back. And I figured law was a good profession. I mean, I don't really know. I just had this inspiration that this is what I needed to do in my life. And no one really believed me for a while, but after a while they did. And my parents were very supportive, and I'm really grateful for that.
I think the reason I'm always very interested as well is because lawyer is one of these things, maybe similar to like a doctor, where you would really want to do it because it's a long way. It's a lot of steps. You need to go to law school. You need to probably do some internships and like Um, so it's a relatively long way compared to other work that you could have done. So you must really have been motivated to stick with.
And once I got there, I was like, I wasn't really sure why I did it, because it's hard. Um, the first, when I first started practicing law, I was a family lawyer, and I graduated from law school when I was 25. Came from a pretty sheltered life, just grew up in the suburbs in Kentucky, in the South,
Right.
and very traditional family. There was no divorce or anything, and so to represent people going through divorce, child custody disputes, and being appointed by the court to represent kids when the parents were drinking or drugging or whatever that was going on. It was hard, it was a lot more than I had bargained for. It's not really
Yeah.
easy to be a lawyer. Most people specialize, and I think I went in pretty naive because they give you a lot of book learning in law school, but you really learn to be a lawyer by working with other attorneys or just getting out there in the world because you really need to work with other people to get your to understand what you need to do. And most people specialize because there's so many areas of law. It's just too overwhelming otherwise.
Yeah. Um, so you also mentioned that you opened your own business and you also sold that business. So, what was there like a more underlying motivation there than your family, or what was the reason for you to decide to sell that business?
Well, I've been married twice. I've had
Mm,
a rich romantic life, and so I got divorced when my son was almost 3, and I
mm,
met my second husband when I was decided after I'd been practicing family law for a while that it was just too stressful. I didn't have the wherewithal that I do now. I didn't have the emotional maturity to really handle that kind of stuff day in and day out because you get people at their worst, and they don't mean to, but they're projecting their stuff at you. And a lot of people I was dealing with, they were putting their kids in between them, and so I didn't really care for parents who did that. And because a lot of the people, there would be really easy things where they just dissolve their marriage, but a lot of people who came to me wanted to fight for stuff and putting the kids in between them and their partner. And I just kind of attracted that kind of law. And I just was tired of it. And so I switched to commercial law. And commercial law was about helping people to collect their debts. It just so happened I was in this little storefront office.
mm,
That's where I was practicing law. And there was two attorneys and there was an employment agency. And this other guy came in and started sharing space who was helping businesses collect their debts up until the time they needed to be an attorney. And we became friends. And he started sending me business. So I was representing a lot of small businesses to help them collect their debts when they wanted to go legal. And I'm like, well, this is really fun. I agree that people, if they do something, they deserve to be paid. And so I just switched
right.
to that. And when I did that, I got all these people that wanted me to represent them for divorce. And I had to say, no, 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 no. It's like the universe was testing me and saying, are you sure you want to do this? And so
Yes.
I just kept on referring them out to other people. And there was this business meeting in Chicago that all these people that did collection work, attorneys and collection agencies, and the businesses that connected attorneys and collection agencies, were having a big meeting, like about 3,000 people. And I just decided to go. So I didn't know anybody. I went up
Mm,
there and that's where I met my second husband. And we were partners in a law firm in Longmont, Colorado for a number of years. We were married for about 20 years and we're still friends. And so that's how I ended up going out to Colorado. And it really helped my son because he was a really good father to my son. And so that's just a little piece of my life.
yeah. Um, Maybe if I can just put a pretty off-topic question in there, but I'm just generally very curious about the United States myself, and I was wondering if you can talk a little bit about the differences in how life is just in general in Kentucky and Colorado, so the South. And I don't know if Colorado, what that would be defined as, if that's still the South? Is it the West?
No, it's not the South. That's all right. When I before I had, before I got friends in Australia, I never in New Zealand, I didn't really know anything about what anything was in your country. So, yeah, the
Right.
southern part of the U.S. is different. Um, it's where I grew up is like a lot of green hills and a lot of greenery. It was really beautiful. The Kentucky Derby is a really big thing there. They raised horses there.
Mhm.
I mean, people are people. They have a different accent. My accent was a very southern accent when I lived in Kentucky, but when I moved up to Ohio, I got really teased for that. So I had, in order to be in business, I had to sort of let that go. Um, so the Midwest, I don't know, that people are people wherever you go. But there is, I do love the South. There is something very lovely about Southerners. They're very warm and welcoming, and Colorado is where I live in Colorado. It's the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. So the best skiing in the whole world, I feel, is in Colorado. I can drive up to the mountains. I live like at 5,000 feet, so at the foothills, which is pretty high
Right.
up, and so
Yeah.
whenever I travel like to Australia or places like that, and my blood changes. Literally in 6 weeks, your blood changes because you're at sea level and by the ocean. And it takes six
True.
weeks for me to recalibrate when I come back to Colorado because I'm at altitude and it's very dry. So, but it's very beautiful. Wherever you drive, you see the Rocky Mountains. There's great hiking trails. People are pretty athletic out here. There's a 2-minute walk from my house. I can take a walk 6 miles up one way or 6 miles up the other way. There's a lot of cyclists here that come to Colorado to train because you're in the mountains. So Colorado tends to be a pretty healthy state because it just attracts a lot of athletes because you can train at altitude. So I love it. If I need a breather, I just drive up the mountains a little bit, get away from all that electromagnetic radiation. It's beautiful. And it's a very different. There's like two different climates. One where I live at the foothills, and it's very different one up in the mountains. You have like 2 months left of summer and fall because you get a lot of snowfall up there, and it's that kind of powdery stuff that people love to ski on. And in the summers, there's a lot of cycling up there and motorcycle riding. A lot of people like to ride their motorcycles up there and hang out. So it's a pretty interesting state. I really enjoy living here.
Yeah, that really resonated with me as well because where I'm staying at the moment, which is Queenstown, New Zealand, um, it's very similar to what you just described. Like we're at a lake, but we're also in a valley surrounded by mountains. There's a little bit of an alpine environment going on as well. So skiing during the winters. Not as much as in Colorado because I heard like the skiing is really good up there. I really heard. Um, so I really like these environments because it's so easy to step out of like the bustling and the busy town and just be in nature. And I feel like it's something that really is good for the people. Would you agree that living close to nature, having a very good connection with nature, definitely portrays on the people living there as well?
I find nature so healing. I just go outside and it just feels like a different person. And I really, really enjoy living in nature. And I'm really grateful, of all the variety that we have here. There's a lot of beautiful places in the United States that I've been, and I'm sure I could enjoy living there. But it's really nice to always have that view of the mountains and be able to walk around and just appreciate. I mean, the air feels good, and yeah, I find nature so incredibly healing. I don't know what I would do without her. It's a big part of my life.
Yeah. Um, so let's talk about the transition to the counseling, the holistic counseling. So you talked about that's what you were certified in, and also the
It's,
meditation and yoga.
and
So
coaching.
for and coach.
Yeah, coaching and
Yes.
mentoring is what I primarily do. I don't do counseling. I got my counseling certification from Australia, and so I can't use it in the US. I'd have to go back and get a master's degree in order to be a counselor here. I just I knew the person who started the school in counseling, and I knew that it'd be something that would be helpful for all that I do. And so I just went and got it. Even though I knew that in order to be like a counselor here in the US, I'd have to get a master's, and I was not going to go back to school again, not after
Mhm.
7 years of college and law school and then getting these diplomas and the certification. So what I do mostly is the coaching. I'm a work-life balance and harmony coach for women. I also do transformational mentoring for men and women. Um, and then I'm certified as a meditation facilitator. I do meditation classes, um, sort of like a healing kind of meditation kind of class. And so that's what I primarily do now.
So you did mention that originally you did most of these things because they were helpful in your law career as well, and you said they were helpful. Um, so maybe take us through your personal journey there as well. When was it that you and why did you feel like it's a more important, maybe a more fulfilling thing for you to do and concentrate on that more?
Yeah. Well, I guess the really cool thing about these diplomas is that, as an attorney, we're trained in the law. We're trained how to settle cases. We're trained how to win cases. We're trained, that we need to represent people and be ethical and all that kind of stuff. But we're not really trained how to actually communicate with people. And
Mhm.
so, and we're not really trained how to listen. And that's just a really excellent skill to have because I really wasn't listening. What coaching and mentoring really teaches you is that you can hold this really beautiful, judgment-free space of unconditional positive regard or unconditional love for people. And it gives them the opportunity to share things with you they might not already do. And also they feel very heard and understood. And so that helped with my employees, that helped with my son, that helped with my partner, that helped with settling cases. And I just the law is a difficult practice. You can't go anywhere. It's always with you. Because if you have your own law firm, if you're going on vacation or you're going on a business trip, you have to work really hard before you go so you don't get behind on helping the people you're helping. And when you come back, you have all the stuff that is there that you have to catch up on. So I enjoyed the practice of law. I loved it, but I just really got tired of that kind of stress. And with coaching and mentoring and meditation, you can sort of set your own schedule, and most of it's online now after COVID. So you can live or be anywhere and be of service to other people and set your own hours. And I find that really lonely after practicing law all those years. So you can just be of service in a different way without all the stress that comes with the law.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so something I found interesting in the way we arrived here now is in the beginning of the conversation you talked about how when you were first doing the family law, you didn't really have the emotional stability and like it was all very overwhelming. And obviously, with mentoring and coaching, I can imagine similarity there with you having all these like these people are coming to you with their stories and you basically guiding them through their journey and helping them. So you obviously developed a good emotional stability now to be able to do these things. So um, yeah, in that sense, maybe can you tell us what helped you personally to develop that, to be in a position um, to now help other people?
Yeah, I guess what I did along the way is I found mentors and coaches to help me, so that I could evolve and grow. And I think you're really sleepy because you do it all by yourself. And now I sort of like working groups with other coaches or mentors and stuff like that. I find like it's easier to evolve and grow and become better at what I do by working with like-minded people who are in the same industry that I am in. And so I learned, I guess what I learned about as I was growing and moving through all of this is some psychological clarity. I think you really have to be clear. You need to come from a really balanced and heart-centered space to be able to help people. You need to be able to like take all your stuff and put it on the shelf over there when you're helping them and then deal with your stuff later. And I just learned some like healing techniques so that I could feel my stuff and let stuff go that wasn't working for me. And I learned like how to work with my inner coach instead of my inner critic. I didn't realize how critical I was of myself and how I was not helping myself to move forward. So I learned a lot of simple tools and skills that I could apply to myself, which I was doing. And also I was really motivated to do this as well because when I got divorced the first time, my son was 3 and he developed ADHD. And so my role as a mom was to help him move forward and make it in the world and find things that I could do to help him. So as I was helping him and learning all different kinds of, mentoring and coaching and maybe even some healing modalities, I studied some healing modalities as well. I found out that I went on a healing journey myself. And so, yeah, that's what motivated me to really get started in that. And the mentoring and coaching was just like a really nice vehicle to bring back to share with other people like this journey that I've been on to help my son.
Yeah. Um, I feel like, and that's solely my personal opinion, but I feel like people that have gone through these journeys in life and basically are very aware of that they've been going through these journeys as well are especially good and useful in guiding other people through their journey as well. So I feel like that's a necessary thing that probably needed to happen in your life, and that that journey of yourself to then be in a place to help other people and do good in other people's lives. So in a certain way, that's kind of what I think everyone kind of can aspire to, or can do in their own life in a specific sort of way. Obviously, not everyone's going to be a mentor or coach, but even on a very small scale, that's where people live their best lives. So, if we want to take it to people in general now, and they're trying to be on that journey, you said something about the inner critic becoming the inner coach. So if that's a journey we all kind of want to be on, what is something you would tell people to get started along that journey?
Great. Well, I love talking about this kind of stuff because it really can help people. It's a lot of the stuff I like to keep it really, really simple because if we keep it simple, then people can apply it pretty easily to their lives. And what I found with myself and with the people that I work with, either in mentoring or coaching, is that most of us have this skill. It's like if we were listening to someone talk to us, like someone we cared about, a friend, a relative, someone that was dear to us, and they were telling us the story that like we were telling ourselves, like, I can't do this because, or this always happens, or whatever the story is that we're telling, someone else is telling that story to us. We would be able to support them, to nurture them, to champion them. If they need to kick up the bum because they sort of had their hand up a dark place and they were just sort of way out there and they needed to be brought back, we could do that for them as well. So we have these skills. We already have these skills, and if someone came to us, we would do that for them, especially if there was that like kind of caring connection and they were open to
Right.
it. So it's not like we have to go out and learn anything new. All that we have to do is begin to turn around and apply those skills to ourselves. And the beginning part of it is just to ask the universe, say, please show me, because I wasn't even aware of what I was doing. I wasn't aware of all the ways I was talking to put myself down, or the relationships that I was drawing to myself that were dysfunctional that I was choosing to stay in. And when we're aware of how we're talking to ourselves, when we're aware of how we're putting ourselves down, when we're aware of all the ways we tell ourselves that we can't do this or we can't do that, or this always happens to me, all that kind of victim stuff. And we really begin to see that, all we have to do is take the skills we would give to someone else we cared about and turn around and start talking to ourselves that way. And it's always a process. It's not a perfect, like, there's no like magic fairy dust that comes down and all of a sudden our inner coach is in its place. It's like if we were choosing to run a 10K race. I used to be a runner. It takes a lot of practice, practice, practice to get out there and run that
Right.
10K. And so we just have to put in that time. And, if we get stuck, then, there are great mentors and coaches out there um, that can help you or whatever else you need sometimes, or like a support group of like minded people that want to work together to empower their inner coach and let their inner critic go.
Yeah. Um, so another thing that um kind of coincides with that a little bit is just in general, like a more positive instead of a negative outlook. So I feel like that's maybe a little bit of a different nuance, but it's that people, whatever happens, tend to maybe see things in a more negative way. And then other people try to see the positive aspects about that. Um, what, what can you say? Or let me just ask it as a question. In your opinion, do you think it shapes the way we live our life if we see these things more positive? Do you think it has a good effect on us if we try and see the positive rather than the negative?
Well, so there's really two things that are going on here. It's like feeling is healing. So it's okay to feel the negative feelings. We just don't want to take a deep dive into them. And if we're holding a space of positivity or even gratitude, gratitude is such an expansive, heart opening way of experiencing life. If we just take the time to feel anything that we're grateful for, it's going to open us up. It's going to raise us up. We're not going to feel all contracted and small, and that will help us to have a more positive outlook on our life. So another way to, if we are one of these people where our family and everyone around us is always talking about everything that's wrong, we're going to trap that to ourselves, because if we're like telling the universe, "Hey, I want more things to be wrong in my life." So it's not a great way to be. But we can, and sometimes we're just so entrenched in it that it takes a while to turn that around. And one simple way to do it is to, start focusing on the things we already have in our lives that we can be grateful for. I have a comfortable bed to sleep in. I have hot water to take a shower. I have food in the fridge. I have friends. I have, if you're an outdoor person, I have people I can go outdoor with and walk around, or I can go up to the mountains and ski, or whatever it is that brings out that gratitude in you. Or I have some really cool people in my life that I really love and I enjoy spending time with. We don't have to wait for something to be grateful for, and that brings in that positivity, and it helps to lift us up and have a more positive outlook. And when we do that, then it's a lot easier to handle whatever life is presenting for us, because it's not necessarily going to be easy. But if we have a more open um, view and vista, it's going to be easier to handle whatever life is presenting for us.
Yes. Um, well, I usually don't really want to spotlight the negative parts, but want to concentrate on the positive. But there is a question that I've always been wondering. And why do you think it is though that a lot of people, and again, I don't want to generalize, but a lot of people find maybe even comfort in more worrying about the things that they don't have that are going on rather than concentrating on, like you said, the gratitude. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Actually, I think it's passed down in our genes or something, genetic. Because, I mean, I can remember my grandmother, my mother's mother, telling me that it was her job to worry about me, and I'm like, Please don't do that. Worrying is praying for what you don't want to have happen in your life. And she thought she was a service. And so I think that it's been passed down from generation to generation in a way. And it's up to us when we're aware and awake to break that and choose a different way and model that for our children or the other people in our life. I mean, I don't really know the answer to the universe or why, but I know that I grew up feeling like I needed to focus on the negative and to share all the negative things that were going on in my life with my friends as a way of bonding with them. And I'm like, and as I, grew up and I, focused on coaching and mentoring, I'm like, what was I doing? That doesn't make any sense at all. All it did was drag me down, but it was like a learned behavior. And it wasn't on purpose, I don't think, but it's in a lot of it feels like it's in a lot of the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious mind of humanity and also in our genetics. And we really have to, it's like if we want to be different, it feels like we almost have to be like a salmon swimming upstream and choose a
Yeah.
different way and practice it until it becomes a part of who we are. I don't know if that's the right answer. That's all I can give you on it, but it's the only perspective I know to share with you.
Yeah. Um, Definitely makes sense in a way. And I feel like one of the ways to counteract that and trying to be different, as you just explained it, um, in my personal opinion, also is meditation, because meditation is something that I've been doing on and off in my life. I'm not doing it very regularly at the moment, but I'm always very passionate about it. So you um, mentioned obviously that you are a meditation facilitator, and yeah, I'm actually just trying to pick your brain here a little bit because the kind of meditation that I did was mindfulness meditation, and I feel like it helped me a lot to be in the moment, kind of um, have that gratitude that you mentioned, and just be like, this is what's happening right now. This is what's going on. Um, so yeah, how do you feel like meditation helps us? And then maybe take us through different types of meditations as well there, because as I said, for me mindfulness meditation is one of them, but I don't really know a lot more to the subject.
Um, I don't know if I'm a total expert in meditation because the meditation facilitator that I got certified from with keeps things really, really simple. And a lot of people have, they're like pushed away from having to sit still. But if you love nature, one way to meditate is just a simple walking meditation. You know, um,
Right.
there was this Nick, I can't remember his name. He came to Colorado. He's like a monk. He died recently. And I went on a walking meditation with there was like 5,000 people that came to see him. But basically,
Oh
you
wow.
just go out in nature and you just walk around slowly and you just really love and appreciate nature. You don't go on a power walk. You can breathe, you can let go of everything else. So, one way to practice mindfulness, one way is an open eyed meditation where you're just slowly walking and appreciating the beauty around you. And that can be really healing and grounding and an easy way to um, get rid of that anxiety and stress and overwhelm that a lot of people experience in their lives. Another way that we can do it is just simple breath work. There's a physiological connection with how we breathe to help us calm down. And so for example, if we breathe in through our nose and out through our nose, and the out breath is longer than the in breath, we're physiologically telling ourselves it's okay to be out of fight or flight mode and to go in that rest and relax mode. Because when we're overwhelmed, when we're upset, when we're stressed out, when we have a lot to do and we're allowing it to just to permeate our body, what happens is we breathe really shallow in the top part of our chest and we even hold our breath in moments. So I'm probably telling you things you already know as a person who's practiced meditation, but I hope it helps your audience to know, just pay attention, that am I, got, if I feel like I'm gasping for breath while I'm trying to share something, And then just practice breathing in through your nose and breathing out through your nose with the out breath longer than the in breath. I mean, there's so many different ways of meditating. You know, we can sit still, we can visualize things, we can work with our breath. I mean, there's 1,000 different ways to meditate. If you go on YouTube, there's visualizations,
Mm.
there's music stuff. It's really, I guess, whatever is going to resonate with you that you will actually practice. Because if you some people just can't have a hard time sitting still or even stilling their mind. So try something to begin with that you can do, like breath work or a walking meditation or some sort of meditation that you find um, on YouTube that's short, maybe 5 minutes. Start with something simple and see if you practice it regularly, if you begin to notice a difference in your life and yourself.
Yeah. Those were all really good points. What just came to my mind while you were saying that, it's also because I feel like for a lot of people, we talked about the inner critic, but it's not only that, in my opinion, it's also just the, maybe if we want to call it, the inner chatter that's going on. So there's always thoughts that actively keep us from really being in the moment and just enjoying, or like just focusing on where we are at the moment. Um, do you feel like meditation is the thing for people to combat that inner chatter, or is there other methods to help with that as well?
Well, there probably are other methods, but I guess one way that I um, learned meditation that helped with that is that I was told don't try to stop the chatter because you're pushing against it. Just sort of visualize it as words just sort of passing through your mind and going away, and not make it something that you're judging about yourself. Because if we're judging it, we're going to get stuck. But if we just go, oh, we're having these thoughts, you just sort of see them drifting by, and then you just come back to your breath and you make it a part of your process, eventually the mind's going to begin to slow down and you're not going to kind of keep on bringing it towards you because you keep on judging it. So that's how I was taught to practice and facilitate it. And it just seemed like a really kind way to do it. I'm sure there's other people that have different ways, but I guess that's what I would share.
Right. Um, so on that topic of um, inner chatter, inner critic, what just came to my mind as well, there is limitations. So people that basically, and we discussed this a little bit, like we don't even realize the things we are telling ourselves. And obviously, limits and what can I do, what is impossible for me to do, is a lot of those things as well. What, I mean, for me, if I can just quickly share personally, it's always when I said I decided to go to New Zealand, one of the first reactions from all the people I knew a very long time as well was like, "Oh, wow, aren't you afraid? Oh, who do you know in New Zealand? Oh, how is this going to work out?" And if that's the way they react towards me, I just feel like that's how they think about it in their head, and it's holding them back and basically keeping them from their true potential. So, with keeping in mind that a lot of people are not aware of these things, what would you give people as tips to kind of try and figure out these limits, that beliefs that we impose on ourselves, and try to combat them?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we all have a lot of patterns and programs that we pick up in childhood and otherwise that don't serve us. Uh, there's so I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to do this by yourself. It really helps to be in some sort of group where everyone wants to do it together. It's a lot easier because then people
Mm.
can notice how we're talking to ourselves, and we can notice how other people
Right.
talk to themselves. One way that really has helped me was, I always practice working with I'll coach somebody, and they'll coach me, because that's one of the way we grow and make sure that because we always have stuff to work through ourselves. Is that I was asked recently and just felt like, wow, this is a really great way to work with people. Is that, if there were no limit, there were no limit, how do you visualize yourself in this way that you think you can't do something? Or maybe you want to, how do you visualize yourself like, you know, going to New Zealand if there's no limits, how that could possibly be for you? And that's sure like opens up all these doors. And I think people really need to know that it's okay to have fears, because the soul or spirit we are might be like singing and so excited about going to New Zealand. But the human bit of us maybe just wants to stay where they're at, sit on the couch, eat potato chips, and is terrified of change. But as the adult, we're the adult. And so what we need to do with these children that maybe got frozen in time inside of them with whatever happened in our lives is turn around, love them, take care of them, and say, it's not your job to do this. It's my job as the soul, the spirit, to go on this new journey. I'm taking you with me. I'm going to love you. I'm sorry I haven't been there for you. But it's going to be okay because it's not your job. It's not your responsibility. That was a lot, wasn't it? I don't know. Hopefully that helped.
Well, just no, it was really good. I'm just processing it while you're saying it as well because even for me, there's a lot of stuff to take away from those insights as well. Um, I guess what I was just wondering because I saw the passion when you're basically just talking about someone doing that for themselves, but then um, is that kind of why coaching and mentoring is so important for you personally as well? Because I feel like that that's what you do it for, right? Is to see people have that change in their mind and basically leading themselves in that kind and positive manner, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's really exciting when people have like, it's not just as coaches, we like the aha moments when our clients go, oh, wow, this is amazing. And what really floats my boat is when they actually apply it, because some people have a realization and they go away do nothing. But some people, you just have to take people where they're at. They actually go away and start doing something about it and they actually change. And that is it's very rewarding as a coach. And in order to be a coach and a mentor, I have to be actually doing that for myself. Because if I'm not
Right.
evolving and growing the realizations that I have, how can I possibly help other people to do the same thing? So that's why with my friends, I'll partner with them and they'll coach me and I'll coach them. Or I'm a member of the International Coaching Federation and we can sign up for reciprocal peer coaching and we're paired with somebody and we coach them and I coach them and they coach me. So I get to coach people that are anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world. It's kind of fun.
Um, to take it a little bit more again to the well, I don't know if it is spiritual or not. I don't want to take it away, but something else that I saw when I was getting to know you and looking into you was the term of a soul reading. Um, could you maybe just explain what exactly that entails and what's happening in a soul reading?
So I was trained in that about 5 years ago, and I'm not a psychic, but I do have the ability like to heart connect with somebody. And I love doing soul readings because they're basically um, I use psychic tarot oracle cards, but it's a form of mentoring. So the way I do it is I infuse the cards with a lot of love. And you can do it remotely or in person. I have a way to just sort of move my fingers over the cards and let people pick a certain number of cards. I pick a certain number of cards. And so I'll share with them like the opportunities that are available to them, the challenges that might come up and how to move through them, talking about some skills and tools that they can apply in their life, stepping forward. And for me, it's just another form of mentoring. And I find that as an adult, when there's a card, they can look at the card and they picked it, and I picked some of them. There's more of a buy-in, and there's also that it's also, I don't know, just it's a cool way to tune into somebody and give them a bigger perspective of what they can work with maybe for the next 3 months. Because I always have people, record the session and take a picture of the cards, and it's just another way it's like if it's all the ways that I'm working with, there's like different sides of the diamond, which is like why I call my business dual consultancy. Like there's the coaching, the mentoring, the soul readings, the
Right.
meditation. They're all different ways to help people let go of what's not working for them, evolve and grow and step forward in a life where they experience more kindness, patience, compassion, whatever sacred qualities you want to bring into your life. And soul readings are just that as well. I don't know. I love them. I'm really so glad that I was trained in them. I had a friend who was doing them, and she really didn't want to do them anymore, but she wanted to pass on the wisdom. And so, yeah, I've even done them in like I've been invited to do soul readings at social events and business gatherings and parties, and I do shorter versions then, but people really enjoy it, and they something connects within them, and they get a lot out of it, and I find that really rewarding.
Um, just a question that popped into my head, and I don't know um, if it even makes sense, but some friends of mine, they do some spiritual practices as well. And you were talking about the heart to heart connection. I'm just wondering, is a soul reading, is that energetically draining for you to do these soul readings?
No, because, I work with, like, energetic healing, clearing, and protection. So, you know, because 'cause I'm really kind of sensitive and empathic, even though I'm an attorney, people find that really strange. So I've worked with years of how to, like, put protection around myself and to cut energetic connections from other people that are not about love, and so
Right.
I work with that every morning and evening, and, I just keep myself cleansed and cleared because I feel like it's really important for people that are healers that are going out and helping other people to not take on their stuff because the only stuff that we can work through is our own stuff. Yeah, if I and also, like, yeah, if the only thing we can work on is our own stuff. And some people take on their stuff or their kids, and I was doing that with my son when he was younger. And one of my mentors told me how arrogant that was because he came in to learn his own lessons, and if I take that away from him, that's just not cool because then I'm not um nurturing him so that he can be on his own and stand on his own 2 feet when he grows up. So the long story is, yes, I work with like energy healing, clearing, and protection so that I'm not taking on other people's stuff and I can be of service to them. If something's really difficult, then I really have to come home and do some extra clearing and healing. But yeah, I know how to do that. And I actually facilitate class online to teach people that because I think it should be taught in kindergarten, so we don't take on other stuff that's going on in the world and have it bring us down or other people. Because a lot of people, if you are a little bit brighter than them, they like to maybe suck your energy like an energy vampire or dump negativity into your energy field, and then you feel like crap. And so we really need to know how to deal with that and to protect ourselves from that kind of behavior because it's just not okay.
Yes. So there's actually two things that I found super interesting here. Um, and the first one, I don't know if it is a question that you can answer simplistically, because like obviously a lot of stuff goes into that. But you just got me very interested in the energetical healing part of it. Is there just things that you could quickly tell me how to get started on that journey if you would want to cleanse yourself and not like be influenced by these others' energies?
Yep. Yeah, I can give you a few pointers. I mean, I can't give you the whole thing because you really have to come and be in my presence,
Yeah.
because I know how to do and just have a feeling experience of the whole thing. But there are a few things that I can tell you that for you and your audience you can do to cleanse and clear yourself. And you can just, first of all, um, you want to make sure that you are really grounded. And one way you can do that is that you love nature, so you can go out in nature. But the way I teach to people is like you're visualizing that you're a tree. So there's from your high heart, you have this column of white light going down your body, down your legs, out your feet. It comes out your feet, this huge reach of light, and it anchors immediately into the heart of the planet. So like your heart is connected to the heart of the planet, and you can just allow yourself to receive her love. Where she gets to dust our bodies. It's made of all the stuff that Earth is made out of. And when we're really grounded and fully present, we're not being, we're not in the future. We're not in the past. We're right here, right now. And it's a lot easier to be positive. It's a lot easier to be calm. It's a lot easier to be centered. Another thing we can do is just put up a beautiful golden bubble of protection around ourselves and just affirm to ourselves that the only thing that can come into my golden bubble, which is my personal sanctuary, are energies that are unconditional love and higher. So unconditional love is love that's given freely with no expectation of getting anything back in return. And I'm just affirming that anything that's not about love is just bouncing off my bubble back to its source. So those are two things that you can do to get started. Um, yeah, those are two things you can do to get started. And just when you find yourself really grounded, it connects you with nature. It's really calming, and you feel more solid here now. You know, a lot of people who are into spirituality like to float above your body, but that's what we're here to do, is to really ground spirit through our body into the heart of the planet and come from that space.
Yeah. And the second thing, from what you mentioned before, was that notion of you and your son, and how you basically were shown how it was arrogant to solve his problems for him. I feel like that's something that a lot of people struggle with, and I'm going to take myself into that as well. Is um, obviously not only family, but friends and just people we care about a lot. And it's just also for me a very um, weird thing to really accept. To Oh, I see where they are heading. I see that it's going to be a mistake, but not to interfere. How And I guess it needs a lot of like strength for someone personally. But how is that something that you came to accept, that sometimes, even though, and maybe sometimes we think we know better, but we still don't. But sometimes we know where it's going, and to accept that maybe it's better in some stages not to help other people because it might be better for their journey in the long run. It's just such a hard thing in my mind to accept.
Yeah, there's no hard and fast rules here. I want to be really clear with you. For my son, since he had ADHD, um, like he would do his homework, but he wouldn't turn it in. So I would help him to get his homework turned in. But what I really needed to do as his mother was to allow him to fail, allow him to have experiences of having failure so that he could know how to pick himself up and take care of himself. It's a different situation, a parent to a child. You know, if you have friends that you see going down a path that's not going to serve them, and they're open, to um, hearing what you have to say, you know, and or sometimes you just feel that if you just have this knowing inside that you need to share it, then you can share it, and then it's their choice of whether they're going to take that on or not. I mean, they've done interventions for years for people that are like alcoholics and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with helping a friend. It's a different situation for a mother and a child, because it was my responsibility to give him the skills and tools so that he could go into the world and be his own person and be successful to the best of his ability. And I was impeding that, and I didn't realize that. But if we have a friend that's going down a dark, deep hole, and we feel it's important to reach out and try to help them, then do that. The worst case scenario is they just push us away, but we could still be planting a seed for another time. So you really have to, I think we really have
Right.
to feel into our heart of hearts. Is this something that feels like it would be helpful? And I feel like I should step forward and do it. And then if it is, do it. Yeah. So I hope that makes it's a very different kind of situation.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Um, and yeah, obviously it was a very general question as well, and it always depends on what is actually like what the specific situation is, I guess. Um, yeah, I feel like I had another question lined up. Um, yes. Um, so basically, just bringing it back to kindness and patience a little bit, because I feel like that's something we discussed on a inner level, but now that I brought up the topic of friends, it's also or, or let me ask it as a question again. So do you think that in order for us to go out into the world and be kind, loving, helpful people, um, that it is necessary to first and foremost have that change in ourselves and be kind and patient to ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, yeah, that's just what came
Yeah.
to my mind.
Absolutely. I kind of like the trinity of kindness, patience, and tolerance. It seems like a triangle to me, and using those all together. But yes, we really need, in order to hold that. See, what I feel like is that the best thing that we can do for other people is to incorporate those experiences into our life. We're not going to be perfect. There's going to be moments that we're just horrible to ourselves, and we have to bring ourselves back and I'm choosing kindness, patience, and tolerance, and feel into some way that I can be kind to myself, and how can I be more patient, and how can I be tolerant with myself. But the more we are that in our lives, the more that we model it for other people, and they're going to sort of be able to pick that up from us just by how we are. So, of course, if in order to give that to somebody else, we have to have it within ourselves. In order to and sometimes the best way to do that is to keep on practicing and practicing and practicing it and just reviewing. One way to do that is just sort of to review at the end of the day, how did I go with being kind to myself? Well, I did really good over here, but over here, it wasn't so great. Well, if I really feel into and visualize how I could do it differently the next time when something similar comes up, what would that look like? What would that feel like? How can I do it differently then? So it's constantly a learning and evolving and growing experience for us. And I don't know if we ever get there, but we can certainly take steps forward so that we are more kind, more patient, and more tolerant with ourselves. And then we're going to model that for other people. And they can sort of take it on almost by osmosis. It does, it's a lot better than telling them, you should be kind when we're not even kind to ourselves. So it really needs to start with us.
Yeah. Um, what I just thought about as well, and uh, well, I guess I'm wondering if you agree, but something that I kind of found for myself is that the world kind of acts as a mirror in sorts as well. So sometimes, again, we have this thing where we said now we sometimes don't realize it. So um, if we always feel like everyone around us is impatient, like you just said, everyone around us is not very kind. Maybe sometimes there is a reflection on how we come across to other people, how we treat ourselves. Do you think that that is also kind of a way of practicing self awareness, kind of seeing what are the things that really upset me about other people, how I perceive other people's actions.
Very spot on. Yes, I had a dear friend who I used to think, oh my God, they are so freaking arrogant. And they always think they're right. And I like, I would always have a reaction around them, even though I loved them. And I like, and I just finally got, oh my God, it's all moved up inside of me. And
Mm,
so I really had to turn around and take a look at myself because if someone, because oftentimes, someone will behave a certain way and no one else will be triggered by it, but I will, or vice versa. If I'm triggered by it, you better believe I have something inside of me that's just like that or similar to it that I need to let go of. It's a pattern and program or a way of being that is not positive. That's more about that inner critic or what the pattern and program that I want to let go of in my life. And I always feel like, well, that's a gift from the universe saying, we can't seem to get through in another way, Arlene. So we're going to just bring people in your life that are arrogant and think they know everything until the light bulb goes off in your head and you start working with it. So that's how I've experienced it previously in my life. And um, I do my best to be grateful for it and that it's a gift from the universe so that I will let go of it. If I wasn't triggered by it, then it wouldn't be anything that I needed. But if I'm having a reaction, I really feel there's gotta be something inside of me that I need to let go of.
yes. Um, well, Arlene, we really had a great conversation, and I feel like we align on a lot of things. So it was a really cool conversation, and I could do this longer, but I feel like we touched on very important things already, and we hopefully got the people out there thinking, and add some things where the people um, yeah, just learn some things and can take things away from it. That's what we do it, and so yeah, if the things we talked about resonated with the people, is you just to end it, want to tell us where they maybe can get in touch with you, can find out more about your stuff, what it is you're doing, and all and any links I'll put in the description as well so they can find it.
Great. Well, if you my name is Arlene Cohen Miller. If you Google that, there's no other Arlene Cohen Miller. That's why I keep it in there. It's my son's last name as well. And so, you can find out all the social media places I'm at. My business is Jewel Consultancy, Jewel, like the diamond, consultancy.com. And you can find me there. I do have a blog, a lot of free advice there. I also have some videos on my website about how to be calm and everything, and some leadership skill videos as well. Um, so yeah, anything that you're interested in, you can get a hold of me that way. I'm always receptive, and I would love to hear from you.
That's that's super cool. So yeah, once again, Arlene, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing all your insights, for sharing the techniques as well, and yeah, just giving us all these useful tips and tricks.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Yeah. So just enjoy the rest of your day, and with that, bye everyone.